Think about the last time you walked through a school hallway. The smell of floor wax, the rigid rows of lockers, and that shrill, piercing scream of the school bell. It's a sound that triggers an almost physical reaction in your brain, an instinctive urge to move, to stop, or to change tasks. For most of us, this environment feels natural. But have you ever stopped to wonder why your classroom looks less like a place of wonder and more like a processing plant? The truth is far more disturbing than a simple lack of budget or old architecture. The modern school wasn't just influenced by the Industrial Revolution, it was engineered to be a human machine. In the early 19th century, a bizarre and forgotten system of warehouse schools turned children into replaceable gears in a mechanical process. We are going to explore the dark history of the Lancasterian system, the Prussian secret man brought to America, and the terrifying punishments that prove your school was literally built to function like a factory. Before we had the egg crate classrooms we know today, there was a man named Joseph Lancaster. In 1801, in the middle of a cold London winter, he opened a school that would change the world, not through inspiration, but through a terrifyingly efficient division of labor. Lancaster's monitorial system was designed for one thing: extreme cost-effectiveness. Imagine a single, massive, open-plan hall, a warehouse really, holding up to 1,000 pupils at once. There was only one adult teacher in the entire building. To manage this chaos, Lancaster applied the same principles found in the textile mills of the day. He appointed monitors, older, higher-achieving students who acted as overseers. These monitors would drill groups of 10 younger students in scripted, standardized lessons. The master teacher didn't actually teach children. He managed the monitors who managed the product. To save every possible penny, students didn't use paper. They practiced writing in trays of sand or on individual slates. Massive lesson cards were hung on the walls so that 500 children could read from a single source, eliminating the need for expensive textbooks. In 1820, a clergyman named Reverend Cordiner described these schools as a beautiful picture of the most animated industry, comparing the children to the various machinery of a cloth manufactory. This wasn't an education. It was a human assembly line where children were processed like raw material. But how do you keep 1,000 children silent and productive in a single room with only one adult? This is where the history of Life Simplified takes a truly dark turn. Lancaster believed that traditional physical beatings were inefficient, so he replaced them with psychological and physical constrictions that mirrored adult prisons. If a student was disobedient or filthy, they didn't just get a detention, they were subjected to labels of disgrace. A child might be forced to wear a wooden log weighing between 4 and 6 pounds chained around their neck like a cervical collar. This wooden card functioned as a portable pillory. It didn't pinch the neck, but it was burthensome, becoming a dead weight that caused intense pain if the child moved even slightly to the right or left. For repeat offenders, the punishments became bizarre. Students were sometimes placed in disciplinary sacks or iron mesh baskets and hoisted by a pulley to the school ceiling. There, the bird in the cage would hang in full view of the entire school, shaking with the fear that the rope might snap, while their classmates were encouraged to laugh and mock them. Unruly students could be shackled by their legs with iron chains and wooden blocks, forced to walk in measured paces around the room until they begged for freedom. There was even a group punishment called the caravan, where frequent offenders were yoked together by their necks and forced to parade through the school hallways, walking backward to prevent themselves from tripping and snapping their own necks against the yoke. If you talked too much, you were fed a spoonful of unsweetened bitter chamomile tea, and if you spoke again, you were fed another. The goal was to freeze the heart with horror, so that merely mentioning the name of a punishment was enough to keep the human machine running smoothly. By the 1840s, the warehouse school began to fall out of favor, but not because it was cruel. It was replaced because a new, even more efficient model had emerged in Prussia. In 1806, the Prussian army had been humiliated by Napoleon. The Prussian elites concluded that their soldiers were too independent and free-thinking. They needed a population that was docile, predictable, and loyal to the state. They engineered a three-tiered system to fix this. The top tier, the gymnasium, was for the elite, teaching them to think and strategize. But the bottom tier, the Volksschule, was for the masses. It was designed to produce professional proletariats, workers who were functionally literate enough to follow instructions, but submissive enough never to question authority. An American reformer named Horace Mann visited Prussia in 1843 and was mesmerized. While he publicly spoke about equalizing the conditions of men, he was privately obsessed with the Prussian ability to instill obedience to authority and the organization of time according to the ringing of bells. Mann brought this model back to Massachusetts, and soon the common school was spreading across the United States like a virus. As the Prussian model took over, the very shape of the school building began to change. In 1848, the Quincy Grammar School in Boston became the first egg crate school. Architects abandoned the open warehouse and divided the school into 12 identical, squarish boxes. Each room was exactly the same size, about 800 square feet, designed to hold exactly 55 students and one teacher. The furniture was the most significant change. Instead of communal benches, students were given individual desks that were literally bolted to the floor in rigid, straight lines. This physical arrangement made it impossible for students to look at each other. They were forced to focus forward on the teacher and the blackboard. Even the windows were a psychological trick. They were often placed 6 feet above the floor, high enough to let in light, but too high for a child to ever look out and see the world beyond the classroom walls. You were enclosed in a sensory deprivation tank of standardized learning, intended to make you a better cog in the industrial wheel. By the early 1900s, the factory model entered its final, most corporate phase. This was the era of scientific management. Educational leaders like Elwood Cubberley, the dean of Stanford School of Education, began to argue openly that schools were factories in which the raw products, children, are to be shaped and fashioned into products. Administrators began to treat students like line items on a balance sheet. Frank Spalding, a superintendent in Newton, Massachusetts, actually calculated the pupil recitations per dollar for every subject. He found that teaching Greek yielded only 5.9 recitations per dollar, while vocal music yielded 41.7. His conclusion? Greek was an inefficient investment and should be eliminated to make room for vocational training. This led to the Gary Plan, or the platoon system. Developed in Indiana, this system split the student body into 2 platoons. While Platoon A was in a classroom, Platoon B was in the gym or the workshop. At a timed bell, they would swap. This ensured that every square foot of the school plant was occupied every second of the day, maximizing the return on investment of the building. When the city of New York tried to implement this work-study-play system in 1917, thousands of students and parents rioted in the streets. They knew exactly what it was: a system designed to lock their children into blue-collar factory labor for life. Today, we no longer hang children in baskets from the ceiling, and we don't bolt every desk to the floor. But the egg crate architecture remains. The Carnegie unit, invented in 1906, still dictates that you must spend a fixed amount of seat time in a room to earn a credit, regardless of whether you've actually mastered the material. The bells still ring. The hallways are still dominated by long corridors designed for the rapid circulation of human units. The focus on standardized testing is just a modern version of the quantitative auditing used by 19th century factory managers. We live in a world that has moved past the assembly line, yet we continue to process our children through a system built on 18th century Prussian fears and 19th century industrial greed. The next time you hear that school bell, don't just think of it as a signal to move. Think of it as the sound of the machine still running. The question isn't whether you're being taught. The question is, are you being educated or are you being manufactured?